One. Okay, so here we are. Hi there, my name is Paolo Salmi, aka Adventurous, and I'm 10 years old. Welcome to my show called Adventurous, where I get to interview super cool adventurers from around the world about their life journeys. I'm the youngest ever ambassador for Water2Go, and my website is www.water2go.eu/Paolo Ben Salmi. I'm also the founder of Adventurous Publishing House, where I publish books for adventurers who desire to share their adventures with the world. I have a signature program called Heights of Adventurer, the Abundant Adventure Creator. I'm an award-winning author of a book series called Heights of Adventurer, and an award-winning public speaker. I've spoken at events such as Mercedes-Benz World and Virgin, etc. So I'm super excited about interviewing this awesome adventurer called Tosin Ogunnusi. He's an author. He's an author, public speaker, and so much more. Hi there, adventurer Tosin.
How are you, fellow adventurer Paolo?
I'm really good, thank you. Welcome to my show, and thank you for letting me interview you. I'm really looking forward to interviewing you. I believe that in life there are two types of adventures that you can go on. An adventure, an internal adventure is self-discovery, and the second adventure is an external adventure out in the world, exploring this beautiful earth.
Beautiful. Well put. I absolutely agree with you. Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. So are you ready for the questions?
I was born ready, Pablo. Hit me. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself and just tell the people who are listening who you are and what it is that you do. So by the end of this interview, they feel like they know you.
Absolutely, that's great. You see, as an adventurer and a fellow adventurer like you, I'm really, really honored. I want to say first and foremost, thank you for organizing this show. And you're only 10 years old. You're a real inspiration to many people. I'm glad that I've been able to inspire you in some little way, but you're inspiring me now. You're putting on your show. So I just want to say hats off to you, fellow adventurer. This is awesome stuff. You know, when I was 10 years old, I wouldn't even dream of doing half of the things that you're doing right now. So sometimes I wish I could tell you I could go back in time and become a 10-year-old again, all the knowledge that I have right now. I promise you I'll be doing things very, very differently. So you're definitely not just inspiring young adventurers, you're also inspiring adult adventurers as well. So well done and thumbs up. Really, really good stuff. No, a little bit about myself. You know, I'm a fellow adventurer like you. I've always been the adventurer of life for me. Most of my life has been an internal adventure, trying to figure out who we are, what we are, why we're here, trying to study the human psyche, what makes us tick, what makes us who we are, why do we do the things we do, why are we a creature of habit, why can't we break the habits? So these have been my kind of exploration, if you like, as an adventurer throughout life. And over the 25 years of my life in personal development, I created a book called Time to Break Free. I like to say I figured out some answers, you know? If you ask a lot of people, nature shows you some answer as an adventurer. So Time to Break Free has been that. It clearly says release your past and embrace your personal power to change. So it's really about change. Correct. It's really about, and there's 7 core principles around that. So first is around mindset. You have to have the right mindset to deliver success. Then the next is about values. Most people don't even know what they value. What's important to you on a day-to-day basis? If you know what's important to you, then go after that with gusto or with an obsession until you get it, you know? You got to understand your values. Next, you got to understand about success. You know, the world tells us about what success is, but that's not what success is. They say success is about fame and celebrity and status and the money and the house you live and the car you drive. That's not success. Those are byproducts. They're byproducts of success. Don't get me wrong, I love those things too. I want to have a nice house and nice things, but they're byproducts of when you find your passion, when you find the deed that you're willing to die for, then all of a sudden you found success. So I always say to people, you could be a beggar on a park bench, but you have an idea, a vision of what you could be, then you're successful, quote unquote. Yeah. That's success. Then we have emotions. We are all emotional creatures. And what I want to point out to people is, I don't care who you are on planet Earth. All of us have what we call significant emotional events in our lives. We have ups and downs. Now, if we haven't taken care of the negative emotions in our lives, we can never truly become a great explorer, a great adventurer, because those things like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, fear, they hold you back in some way. So sometimes don't heal the wounds of the past. So that's part of why the book is there as well. So we got to heal the wounds of the past. We got to take care of those negative emotions. We got to release them. So you've got mindset, you got value, you got success, you got emotions, and then finally you got purpose. It's a broad question. I know, like you and most people, when I was a kid like you, I was always asking, who are we? Why are we born? What are we here to do? You know, what am I here? What's my purpose in life? And most adventurers are asking those questions. And here's the sad thing, son. Here's the saddest thing. 95% of the population never truly get to explore their life fully. They never truly get out there. Now, some people might be an internal explorer, but they never get to experience it as an outside adventure, if you like. And some people, all they do is outside adventure all day long, and they don't figure out the internal stuff. But we need both, as you quietly mentioned. We need to have an internal exploration, internal adventure, and we need to have an external adventure as well. Because when you get those balance right, then you're truly living, then you're truly enjoying life. So it's not just about dreaming about it, it's about manifesting it as well and living it and enjoying it. So that's purpose. And then we have what we call laws. I truly believe that the universe is governed by laws. Everything we do, there are no accidents in the world. Everything we do is by law. And one of the first grandfather law is cause and effect. Cause and effect. What does that mean? Well, for every cause, there is a corresponding effect. So for X, there is Y. For A, there is B. So for every thought you have, okay, which is the cause, there is going to be an external effect coming back at you that you see in your environment. So I often say to people, your life is just a mirror of what's happening internally. It's just a reflection of who you are inside. So take a look around you. What have you manifested? That's what's happening inside. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going on for people. It doesn't take a genius to figure out where the blocks are when you're resisting. So people say, well, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I said, great. Do you give enough? They go, what do you mean? I said, what are you giving? Because what you're giving is what you're receiving. What you're sowing is what you're reaping, you know? And I had to figure this out myself because I was like, I'm not making enough money. What's going on? I have all these genius talent and skills, but nobody wants my coaching. No, it's because I wasn't giving. I wasn't reaching out enough. You know, I wasn't sharing my gift. I wasn't exposing myself out to be seen so that people know what you do. You know, you might be great inside, but how are people going to know what you do? Look at you. You're getting out there. You're putting a show on. People are seeing what you do. You're out there on social media. You're like the social media king, you know? So it's great that you're doing things like that because not only do you have to understand that the law is such a powerful thing, cause and effect, you know, people have a headache and they're trying to take paracetamol and anodine all day long. Or whatever, I don't know what other stuff they call it. They go, well, it helps with the pain. Yes, it does for a period. It's like putting a Band-Aid on for a period, but then later on, the headache comes back, the pain comes back, because the real cause of it is what you're thinking and how you're feeling about whatever is going on for you. What are you thinking? How are you thinking about it? Because when you deal with that, the cause, the effect changes. Yeah. You see, when you change the way you think, all right, about a certain situation, when you change your thinking from a negative to a positive, all of a sudden, the very thing you're looking at changes. Just like that. Voila. And you're like, is that it? Is that all I have to do? And people don't understand this practically. Somebody's got something going on and they're sad, they're upset. So why are you sad? Why are you upset? Share it, express it. Let it go, because the emotions will be expressed in the moment. But the minute you don't express it, that becomes a cause. And that cause, you don't realize it. Over a period of when you carry it, it kind of like starts to manifest in your life. People say anger held inside and not expressed over a long period of time becomes chronic depression. People wonder why they're depressed, but they never express it, they never share it, they never let it go. They hang on to things, you know? So universal laws, very powerful. And there are 8 universal laws, you know? You've got 7 of them in this book. If you find out what these laws are, then you really know that if you apply, exactly, it's right there. If you apply this in your life, all of a sudden things change. And then the final thing, so we've got mindset, values, success, emotions, purpose, laws. And the final thing that I teach in this book here is identity. It's the big one. Identity. You know why? Because when I was growing up, I had a really shitty conditioning. And I know a lot of people out there have similar shitty conditioning, which is really about really truly understanding who they are. When I say, who are you? People say, well, I'm a nobody. Who are you? I'm useless. Who are you? I'm stupid. Who are you? I'm this. No, that's what I call shitty identities, labels. We're so good at labeling ourselves. You know, they ask you, how are you today? Not bad. What's not bad? You're either good or you're not, or you're bad. I mean, you can't have not bad. How are you today? Fine. You know, we use little shitty labels, but it's about the words. It's powerful. The words is powerful. You know, I'm not a great reader of the Bible, but I do know there's a scripture there that says there is power and life. You know, there is life and death in the power of the tongue, in the spoken word. There is life and death in the spoken word. So it's like when you look at an apple tree, it can only bear fruits of apples. When you look at an orange tree, it can only bear fruits of oranges. When you look at a mango tree, it can only bear fruit of mangoes, nothing else. When you look at a human being and they speak, the heart always brings out what the heart is full of. You can't be anything else. If we squeeze you hard enough, you either be oranges or mangoes or pineapples. You can't be anything else. What have you conditioned yourself to be? Somebody's angry all the time. They're just angry. You squeeze them. You know, somebody's got love all the time. You squeeze them. Lots of love. You know, whatever it is within them comes out, pours out of them. Somebody's got so much passion. You squeeze them, just passion. Somebody's got so much, you know, love for the earth. You squeeze them, just love for the earth. You know, love for animals, love for whatever. What have you filled yourself with as a human being? You know. So really, when I say to myself, I am weak, I am weak, I am weak, you repeat that word 5 times, your body instantly starts to become weak. It's been proven, you know, using energy. I put people on, they put their hand up, and they go, I'm moving, you go with one finger, the hand goes down. You go, I'm strong, I'm strong, I'm strong. You try to push it with both hands, it doesn't go down. Why? It's the power of the word. When you say it and you feel it, words are so powerful. So I teach kids like yourself and my clients, I say, listen, the word, the way you speak to yourself is more powerful than what anybody can say to you on planet Earth. So have the right identity. And usually when I finish that, I used to allow people to create a whole new identity for themselves that they begin to live towards and begin to believe of that. This is who I am, not this shitty word that I'm saying about myself. Because when you believe a whole new identity about who you are and you live to become it, all of a sudden you see people differently. You see life differently. You see the environment differently. You see everything around you differently. All that change was your word. All that change was your word. Word is very powerful. Remember that. So that's it. 7 core things. So that's what my life has been about. So basically, all my life, what I've been doing is, as an adventurer, is I have been helping companies with peak performance training, using some of my really innovative and dynamic team building activities, you know, such as firewalks, board break, bar bend, glass walking, arrow break, anything. For me, I'm Mr. Motivator. You know, if there's a dead cow, I'll make it come alive. You know, I've got that kind of energy. Wake it up, like, hello, you've never done it yet. It's been part of my mission and my passion. And on the other side of it as well is I also help, you know, business people, entrepreneurs that have been doing a particular job for many, many years, and now they want to start to teach it. So you've been a solicitor for many years, you've been a coach for many years, or you've been a trainer, or you've been a conductor for many years, or you've been you've been a lawyer for many years, and now you're thinking, it's been 15 years, but I want to teach it to other people. What I do as a specialist, I extract their knowledge from their brain, put it into a solution framework that they can monetize over and over and over again. And I've helped many, many clients create their own book, write their own book, start to teach their own training courses, because they've extracted their knowledge over a period of time and they've put it into a solution framework that they can now teach other people to now do the same things like them. So rather than do the work of a solicitor, they're teaching solicitors. Rather than do the work of a plumber, they're teaching plumbing. Rather than do the work of electrician, they're teaching, training people how to do electrician. So that's an example of what I've been doing. So that's my life. That's what I've been doing. I've been enjoying it. I've been on a roller coaster ride. And part of my joy is supporting young, up-and-coming, inspirational, motivational world leaders like yourself and your sister. Your whole entire family are phenomenal. So that's been me in a nutshell.
I really love what you do, about what you're saying, like how people were electricians when they were working for other people. You taught them to be the leader of their own niche. And about your book, your Tree Yourself, the purple one, that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time to break free.
Yeah, time to break free. It's everything's about identity. Lots of people nowadays don't really know who they are, and Time to Break Free is a really good book to help you with that. And I just love what you do, and how you help people. And he even said, if a cow's dead, he'll bring it back to life. So
100%, baby.
Oh my God.
But by the way, don't start bringing me your dead cows now. That's a metaphor. People start going, hey, Tosin, here's my dead chicken, here's my dead cow, here's my dead dog. Take it out, please. No, it's a metaphor. Got it?
So next question is, what is your why? So like your why is like, why do you do what you do? And so what is your why and why do you do it?
The why is pretty simple. You know, it's gonna sound like a cliche like most people, but it isn't. It's very unique to me. And part of my goal is to reach like 20 million people. I got a date down. I think it's by 2034 or something like that. There's a day that I've got down, which is like, you know, in my life, I don't believe in retirement. I don't believe there's any day where you say I retire and I don't want to do what I do, because what I do is not a work, it's not a job, it's a gift and it's a blessing. So there's no time in my life that I will ever retire. None of my mentors that I know have ever retired. They're still on it, even at 95, and they're still going, you know. So there's no such thing as retirement for me. So therefore, I want to touch people's lives, many people's lives on this planet. And part of my mission and my goal is very, very, very simple. You know, I always say to people that, you know, I've been put on this God's planet to empower people and to inspire them to give more, be more, do more, and have more in their lives. So that has been a drive of mine. If I can help any soul, any human being be able to give more. But by the way, everybody knows about be, do, and have. Okay? People talk about, you got to be, then you got to do, then you got to have. But actually what everyone is failing to forget, to remember is, it's not be, do, and have first. It's actually give first. So you got to give first, then be, then do, then have, in that order. And when I say that to many people, people always say, well, what if I haven't got anything to give? That's especially when you should give, because if you don't have anything to give, it shows in your life that you're not giving enough already. Remember the law, cause and effect. So the first thing is, if you find that you're lacking in anything, you know, people say, well, I don't have love. Well, are you giving love? I don't have money. Are you giving money? I don't have, whatever you don't have, give first. I'll tell you a little funny thing. There was a time where Facebook came out, and every year everybody knows your birthday, right? It's all in there. It's in your profile.
Yeah.
They know the people will come and say, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And I'll probably have like, you know, 20, 16 people on my birthday, 18 people, happy birthday, happy birthday. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Some people will get like 200, 300 for. And guess what? I had 5,000 friends, but I had very little, you know, happy birthdays, 20, 34. And I'm like, I asked myself the question, Tosin, how many people do you wish happy birthday on Facebook? And I'm like, not many, not many. So I said, let's test this out. Let's do a little goal. Every single person on my Facebook page, whether I know them or not, Facebook sends me a notification Every time it's people's birthday, every single day. So what I started doing is every day I get a note, I go, click, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Some people, they don't even know me. They've heard my name. They're on my Facebook with them like, oh my God, Tosin said happy birthday. Tosin, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So as an experiment, I did for a whole year, I just did for a whole year. That year, when it came to my birthday, guess how much I had?
How much?
370 messages going, happy birthday! Case in point, I just point. You give, and you receive. If you don't give, you don't get. So whatever it is that people say, we're lacking something, give it. Give it. That's like a small fun example, but that example is true in everything in your life. Money comes to you. You receive money. You work every day. Somebody gives you pocket money. I don't care whether it's a 10 or a 5, 10% of that money should go to you giving somebody else 10%. So you get a tenner, £1 should give to somebody. Give to a homeless. Give to somebody. Make it a habit in your life, and you'll never lack money in your life ever again. It's as simple as that. Give. When you don't have, give. Give, even when you have. And I found that especially true. And this is the funny story, because I learned this the hard way. Now, my mother, bless her, she's a phenomenal woman. What my mother used to do, she would get paid, all right? She would take her salary and divide it into 4. And I was a kid, I didn't know what this meant at the time. She divided it into 4. She would take 3/4 of her salary, one quarter of it, she would take it and she would go out. Sorry, there's a guy calling me, just bear with me. This is important. Hey buddy, I'm on a call, I'll call you straight back. So basically, sorry about that, by the way, that was very important, I had to take it. Basically, she would divide it into 4, she'd take 1/4 of it, and she would go to where all the beggars are in Lagos, in Nigeria. She would go to where all the beggars are, and she would divvy it out to everybody, give it to everybody. And she did this religiously. And I never understood it. And I knew my mother, she never went without. I mean, she's a phenomenal woman. She bought a huge property in Nigeria. She built a house. She bought another one, built a whole big family house for everybody. Like, she's got 6 kids. She built a house. She's got like 6 duplexes where each flat has got 3 bedrooms each for each kid. So every kid has that, and then every kid, they can have their own family in it. You know, she was a great businesswoman. My business acumen come from my mother, not from my father. I looked at her, I was like, she was an inspiration to me growing up. But all of that, I never got it. So life was always like, lack money, lack money, lack money. Why is that always the case? And then I remember there was an experience when we went to church. And in church, they said, you need to start tithing, give 10% of your money every single month. And I'm thinking, I have no money left every month. How am I going to give 10%? I have no money left. I spend all the money. I have no money left every month. So I decided, okay, you know what, 10%, automatic, put it in, send it. And somehow, I don't know how, the money just expanded. The money just expanded. I was giving 10% of my salary, which I didn't have enough to begin with. I was giving 10% of it away to the church every month, and yet I still had enough. I was like, how does that work? It was weird. I couldn't explain it. So tithing. So this is really a powerful statement. When you talk about what's my why, what's my purpose? Well, my purpose is to allow people, to inspire people enough to give more, be more, do more, and then have more. That's it. That's my formula. That's my why.
I love that, because nowadays we're being taught to, so when we receive our salary or on our payday, when we get paid, when we receive that, you just give it to take it all to ourselves. But really, you have to give and then you receive. A lot of the time, I said
about that, by the way. Well, 2 things about that, by the way, is when you receive your salary, you've worked for a whole month to receive that salary.
Yeah.
Pay yourself 10%, pay 10% out of it to the needy. Give it to it. It's not just about churches. It could be a beggar on the street. It could be anyone. It could be a charity of your choice. Give 10% regularly. Pay yourself 10%, give 10% out, and then pay the bills and everything else. What people do, they got their money, pay the bills, pay everything else, and buy the rent, and they got nothing left. They didn't pay themselves, and they didn't give 10%. Now, let me explain why it's important to pay 10%. Because some people might be listening as an adventurer, and they might say, why should I give any of my money away? It's my money. Why should I give it away to anyone? Fair point. But here's the thing about the 10%. the universe as a whole blesses us and it works beautifully. There is a flow in the universe. Yeah. And there's a law called the law of the eternal pool. And the eternal pool, it's not a pool, it's not water, but it acts like a pool. It's like there's a big flow of this. It looks like water, but it's not water. It flows into the soil, goes in and flows out the other side, and it keeps flowing and it keeps flowing. It's called the law of the eternal pool. So it means you receive with one hand, you give with the other. You receive with one hand, you give with the other. But if you receive with one hand and you close the other hand, what happens? You stop the flow of life. You stop the flow, okay? And whoever stops the flow, you will go without. This is not a curse. This is just a fact. I've been there. I've seen it happen in my life. So if you and I and your friends and fellow adventurers, we form a big circle and we had a bucket of love, okay? And we're passing the bucket of love around. Let's say that's money, passing the bucket around. So it comes to flows to you, you flow to somebody else. It flows to them, they flow to somebody else. And we're keeping the flow going, right? If somebody decides, I'm not playing this game, I'm not flowing, and they stop, what happens? They cut off. They cut off the flow. You understand that? The flow continues. We're still in the flow, but they're cut off the flow. When you're cut off the flow, life's tough. Life's difficult. You're trying to do it by yourself. You're like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So your 10% creates room for you. It's like the universe has blessed me with money. Thank you. £1,000. I take £100. I give it to the homeless or some charity somewhere there. That is like a seed. Think about it like a seed. I just planted a seed. Because tomorrow I might need, and I don't know when I'm going to need. That seed is growing, helping somebody else to grow. Something else is going to come back to me. That's the idea. So every time I get blessed, £1,000, I take it 100 somewhere else. £1,000, 100 somewhere else. Because when it comes to it, I'm keeping the flow. Get it? I'm keeping the flow. I'm keeping the energy going, the life circle going. Because the minute I stop the cycle of life, I'm finished. Look at the Amazon forest, okay? The Amazonian forest, nobody touches it. Nobody does anything with it, yet everything there functions beautifully. The animals are growing, dying, growing, dying, growing, dying, babies being born. The cycle just goes, the flow, because everyone is feeding everyone. The plants are feeding the animals are eating each other, they eat each other, then they die, then they become soil, then the soil grows the plant, and the plant grows, and then they eat the plants, and then other animals eat other animals, and then they die, then they go to the soil, they become soil, then they grow, then the plant grows. The whole cycle is flowing. No one has to touch it, no one has to do anything about it, no intervention from human beings in the Amazon forest, and yet it's perfect. But when you create a garden of your own, and you create a garden of your own, artificial garden in your back garden, and you don't touch it and you leave it for a week or 2 or a month, what happens to your garden?
It dies.
Overgrown, dies, the weed comes in. You see, it's not natural. Amazonia is not the flow, when you keep the flow going. And that concept, it's not religious, it's a universal law, the law of the eternal pool. When you receive with one hand, you give with the other. It's not biblical in any way. It's not religious in any way. It's just a fact of life, okay? And everyone should understand that. Every explorer has to receive and give. And by the way, when you receive and when you give, people always say, which one is better? We all know it's better to give, but actually, you can't give without receiving. It's a simultaneous process. Because you gave me a blessing by asking me to be interviewed. And I said, yes, I'll be interviewed. But you gave me a blessing for me to receive. But you might think, no, because it's helping me. It's giving me. No, actually, you just gave to me. You just allowed me to be a blessing for you. And I accept it. And now you allow me to be a blessing to you. So in the act of giving, you're also receiving. In the act of receiving, you're also giving. It's a simultaneous process. And some people forget that as well. So it's a two-way street, baby.
Okay, so thank you for sharing. I really love that. And so next question is, do you like to go on adventures?
Actually, I have to be honest with that. You know, I would say my wife is more of an adventurer than me. And the reason being is this. You know, I love outdoors. I love going outdoors and I love running, but I love to know where I'm going. So for me, I will explore a route for running. And I'm like, yeah, I love this path, 3 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles. I love this route. And I could do that route every day. I'll just get up in the morning, boom, do that every day. My wife, she likes to get lost. She's a real adventurer. She was like, I want to create a new path today. I don't want to run that path we ran. It's boring. I want to run another path. So let's go running. And I'll say, okay, you lead the way, I'll follow. And we start running. I'm like, do you know the way? She go, yes, I know the way. I'm like, okay, how many kilometers? She goes, 5. 10 kilometers later, we're still running and she doesn't know the way. We're lost. Yeah, so she's a real adventurer. You know?
It reminds me of your book, To Empower Yourself. And then one of the quotes in there was talking about there was a hole in the ground, and every day a man would walk across that path. And then the first time he fell in, and it was really deep. The second time he tried to step over it, but he still fell in. But then the first time he walked around it. And then the next time he chose a different path.
He found a different path. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Correct. Well, that was a quote by Portia Nelson, which is really powerful.
Yeah.
So it's a really good, because she went to a seminar and they said, write your whole life story in one paragraph. And she wrote in the paragraph, chapter 1, she said, I walked down a street, there is a hole in the path. I did not see it, I was blind to it, but yet I fell in. So she fell into the hole. And then she went, it took me years and years and years to get out, but I eventually got out. Chapter 2, she said, I walked down the same street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. I see it. And guess what? I still fall in. You know, took me a few years, but I got out. Chapter 3, I walked down the same street. There is a hole in the sidewalk. I see it. I know it's there. My eyes are wide open. But guess what? Boom, I fall in. And she went, oh my God, it's a habit. Which is like that for most people. We're stuck in a habit. Remember? We're stuck in a habit of doing the same old thing, expecting a different result to happen, which is the height of insanity, right? So she said, chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There is a hole in the sidewalk. I see it. I'm aware of it. My eyes is wide open. And as I walk towards it, I walk around it. And she went, chapter 5, I walk down a different street. And that's it, baby. That's real adventuring. In life, we sometimes, like creatures of habit, we like to do the same things over and over again. But that's great. That's okay for some stability and comfort and knowing it. Once we've got it and we understand it, it's time for a new adventure. It's time for a new adventure. It's time to look for something else, you know? But we get so comfortable, so complacent that we don't stretch for anything more. And remember, guys, being in a comfort zone is a dangerous place to be. Think of a comfort zone as a stagnant water, a water that doesn't flow anymore, that's not flowing with river. If it's a stagnant water that doesn't flow, eventually it will be contaminated. It will start to stink. Dead flies, dead animals, dead things, you know, things won't survive in it anymore. So when you're stuck in a comfort zone and you're doing the same old thing, come on, you're dead water. You're dead water, like a dam being closed in. You know, you can't be that. You got to break the walls of the dam down and free yourself and get out there and explore new avenues. You know, try a different language, move to a different country, do a different sport, try something different. You know, just do anything different to break yourself out of the monotonous sameness of life. I even see the people when you go to work, you take the same train, the same bus, the same route every day. You drive the same way. You sit in the same chair. You talk to the same people. You have the same lunch, month after month after month, year after year after year. Break the freaking cycle. Go a different route today. Try a different bus. Cycle to work. You know, do something else. Be an adventurer. Try to break up the monotonous sameness of life every day. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, brush your teeth with your left hand. If you go and you peck your wife and you go mwah, mwah, every day, you're a young boy, but it doesn't matter. It's like, like this, pecking is nothing. Maybe one day you're leaving the house, hug your wife for 20 minutes, you know, give her a big hug and then give her a French kiss, not a peck, not bye-bye, you know, give her a proper hug. Change things around every day and life becomes an adventure in itself, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. And so next question is, what is the best adventure you've been on and why? Which
Oh,
adventure?
I've been on many adventures. I've been on many adventures, but one of my favorite adventures was, oh my God, was in Australia about 3 years ago. Um, I was hired to do an event for Jets Fitness, 24-hour fitness company. They're a franchisee. They own about 300 franchisors in Australia. They're the best gym in Australia, phenomenal. And they had about 300 agents come to Hamilton Island. So we flew to Brisbane, and then from Brisbane, we got a private jet or a private plane to take us into Hamilton Island. And Hamilton Island is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's where you see all the coral reefs and all that stuff. Phenomenal place. It's like a little beautiful island, phenomenal island. And they got a golf course on it. So I was there working for 5 days. And then I also got to play on the 18-hole golf course at Hamilton Island. That was like a phenomenal adventure. I love it. One of my best adventures ever. So I got to impact a lot of lives. I think they did a board break for 300 people. Phenomenal. They had a beautiful ball night, a party afterwards, which I remember. Bow tie, red tie. I was hot. I was sizzling. You know, really enjoyed it. Had a phenomenal time there. And one of the best part of it was, then after I finished, the organizers were my friends. So after I finished, I got to spend time with them in Queensland, where they live. So I got to spend time with them at home for 5 days, just exploring Australia, waking up every morning, going running for about 5 miles with my mate. He was a fanatic at sports. So we go running, took me up to Mount Coolum, which is a beautiful mountain at the top. We'll run all the way up to the mountain at 5:30 in the morning, and we see the sunrise. One of the best thing ever. You just wake up and you go, wow, this is the wonders of the world. And you see the sunrise come up, and then we run all the way back down, back home again. And we did that every morning for 5 days, every morning. So it was one of the best adventures. So for me, I was like, I went out, got paid, and had a holiday at the same time. It couldn't be. You can't get any better than that, you know? So it was one of the best adventures. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. So next question is, who inspires you and why?
Oh, phenomenal. I have many people that inspire me. Many people that inspire me, son. You inspire me, for what? You're an adventurer. Your mom inspires me. Your mom is phenomenal. She's an incredible woman. You know, I don't think she gets enough credit. You know, your mom doesn't get enough credit for a superwoman, you know, with 5 children, you know, juggling results, but giving you, all of you individuals, the best grounding, the best foundation for your life that any parent could give her children. And I envy that. I think it's phenomenal. I think she's a real superstar. To have, you know, involved you all at a very young age into personal development, and not only involved in it, but actually taking part and becoming influencers within it as well. I think it's a phenomenal thing. So I take my hat off to your mom. Your mom inspires me phenomenally well. She doesn't even know this, but she's a real inspiration. And I think she's an inspiration to many mothers as well. So I was really proud when I came up with a system for her about, you know, Mama's recipe, you know. And I'm glad that she put the book out. She's going for it, and she did it in a big way. You know, because she's one person who is very selfless. And she kind of puts everybody else in the limelight, and she stays at the back. But actually, I think the light should be shown on her. You know, it's like the Oscars. She'll be like, and the winner is, you know, Sabrina Ben Salmi. You know, they should spotlight on her. She's great. But personally, some of my mentors that have really inspired me are Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, Les Brown, Topher Morrison, Andy Harrington, Sally Lawson, something I'm working with right now, Aaron Curry, people that I've worked with in the past. But all of those guys have been phenomenal. They've had a real impact in my life. But if I was to, and then Sadhguru, who's a mystic from India, has 9 million followers. Sadhguru is phenomenal on YouTube. Talks anything about, you know, I'm interested in more, not just our psyche, but also who we are and the makeup of who we are spiritually. So I've always been a big admirer of meditation and all that kind of stuff, and mindfulness and all that stuff. So I'm really heavily involved in that. You know, I'm a Reiki master as well. So anything to do with alternative medicine and art, I've always been very interested in, and how we can treat ourselves and heal ourselves without medication. That's always been a big part of my life. So Sadhguru has been big, but the one person that's like my spiritual mentor, like a father to me, has been Amin Daya. You know, it's been one of, if I say somebody has had a dramatic impact on who I am and who I'm becoming and who I am today, it'll be him. So Amin Daya has been a great mentor of mine and really inspired me. And he's a phenomenal adventurer because he's an engineer by trade, he's a scientist, but actually he was given a gift of healing to heal others and explore that. So it's quite weird, an engineer and scientist doing healing. So it was kind of a weird combination. So that's why for me it's been phenomenal. And you know, he's been somebody who has been by my side for close to almost 20 years now. So yes, been highly influenced by him.
Yeah. Thank you. So what has been a pivotal moment in your life and what did it teach you?
Oh gosh, that's a deep one. That's a deep question. And the reason why I say it's a deep question is there've been, you know, life is constantly evolving. You know, you were once a baby, but you're not a baby anymore. You know, you're 10 years old now, you know, and what you knew as a baby and what you did as a baby, you've matured it a bit more. You do things differently. So one would say you've evolved, but in that evolution, even from that 0 to 10, there's been pivotal moments in your life, you know? So for example, you said, I gave a copy of this book to your mother, not to you, but you guys were reading it. You read it and it inspired you to write your book, you know? So that was a pivotal moment for you. So for me, when you ask me that question, it's such a deep question because there's a lot of pivotal moments in my life, okay, that have got me here. So if you're asking me to pick one, it's a tricky one. So what was the turning point that really changed things for me? Gosh, so many. I'm having flashbacks, you know, like so many events, so many events. Oh my God, that one. I was sharing this today with a client of mine. I was coaching her today at Zoom this morning, and I was sharing that she asked me that question, and I was kind of similar to your question now, and I was sharing a particular moment in my life for her because she was like, "Okay, have you had moments where you just wanted to give up? You don't want to do what you do?" Yes. So for me, getting into personal development, that's why I said to you in the beginning of our, you know, interview, I wish I was your age again. I wish I was young again. And I knew everything that I knew now then. I might do things differently. Because I was 29 years old when I started in personal development. So it was a long time. I didn't know anything before that. I was just a wreck, you know. I felt inferior. I didn't believe in myself, didn't know anything. So only in the last 25 years, I've made some big strides in my own personal development through personal development, through self-help. But I was 29 years old when I started, and I met Bob Proctor. Was one of the first influencers that I got, and I thought, wow, I'm inspired by this guy. I'm going to make a difference. Now, what transpired was I was in accounting, believe it or not. So I did AAT, I did ACCA, 1 year of ACCA, and I quit because I realized I had so much energy and I wanted to work with people, but I found myself sat at the desk doing accounts payable, sales stuff, you know, income revenue and all that stuff. I'm like, this is not me. Stand in front of a computer. So the transition was 2 years, changing from where I was to where I wanted to do. And when I quit and I stopped ACCA training, my mother was livid. What are you doing? You know, you need a job. You got to have a job. Blah, blah, blah. She was livid. She's till today, she's not forgiving me for it. You know, she still asks me, have you got a real job yet? And I said, well, I've got a job that's more than a real job, mommy. It's fulfilling. You know, it's happy. I'm happy doing what I do. And I love what I do. And my clients are happy. So that was a pivotal moment for me because I remember vividly, I had a flat in Peckham. And during the transition, I was at a very low ebb. I couldn't even pay the rent. I couldn't pay the rent. My mother bailed me out over 2 months. And then eventually, rather than paying the third month, I sold the flat. I didn't want to sell, but I ended up selling the flat. And in a way, it was a blessing in disguise because I made a profit on it, about 50K. And then after paying solicitors and everything and everybody else and debts and all that off, I ended up with about 35K, you know, in my bank account. And I moved back home, which wasn't a good place to be, you know, living on your own, being independent, now moving back home wasn't really cool. But I moved back home and I started again, you know, it was like starting again from scratch. But I was determined I was not going back to a job. I was determined I wasn't going to get another job. I was going to make this work or die trying. It's a bit like, the movie. Either make it work or die trying. That was it. There was no ifs or buts for me. There was no going back. And I remember what Bob Proctor told me to do was, to write my goal and then record it on a tape and listen to it for 90 days. But actually, I recorded it on a tape and I listened to that goal for 1 year. I don't even know where the tape is today. No, you wouldn't. You're too young for cassette tapes and Walkmans. You're too young. All you know is that MP3 and CDs. Even CDs, you're too young for CDs. Now it's MP3 and downloads and all that stuff, right? So those days it was cassette tape. So I recorded in a cassette tape with my Walkman, and I listened to it for a year. I'm going back now 2000, okay, 2000, and I listened to it for a year, and then I don't know where the tape is. I've never seen the tape, but because of that installation in my mind of listening to myself tell myself, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, this is who you are, this is what you're going to be, with my affirmation in it, like I am whole, I am perfect, I am strong, I am powerful, I am loving, I am amazing, I am amazing. Every single day for 1 year in my ear, I believe that's the very thing I've never let go of. I've never let go of. I just say, you know what? There's been many times since that pivotal moment, that down moment, that I've wanted to quit, but I've never quit. I've never gone back to it. Actually, now I tell my wife and I joke, I don't think I'll fit into a real job. If you hired me, you'll sack me because I don't follow orders anymore. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm unemployable. You can't employ me, because I don't know how to toe the line, So so it's been great. So that's been one of those 2 years to transition from accountancy into personal development. It was a tough period in that time, and there was a lot of stuff. And I've had other pivotal moments as well. Like I said, you're constantly evolving, and life keeps going up and down. So you just got to deal with it. You remember, it's not what happens to you; it's what you do about what happens to you that matters, because things happen to everyone.
Thank you for sharing. Next question is, what 3 lessons have you learned in life that are the difference, that makes the difference?
Very easy. Very easy. 3 A's. Everybody write 3 A's. Number 1, acknowledge. Number 2, appreciate. Number 3, accept. So in life, it's also in my book, I have found that when I look at scenarios and situations that have happened to me in my life, it's very simple. First and foremost, people have what we call emotional brackets around things. Rather than look at what happens and be clear about what happens, they bring in other stuff that's not even a part of what's going on, okay? Because they like to validate their point, all right? So I've stopped doing that. When something happens, I acknowledge it. That's the first thing. I acknowledge, okay, what happened? This is good or bad, but there's no good or bad anyway. It's just an experience. But people label it good or bad because there's nothing good, nothing's bad. Life is just an experience. So when something happens to me, whether it's let me use a better word, favorable or non-favorable, it's better than good or bad. It's not good or it's not bad. It's just an experience. So if a favorable experience happens, I acknowledge it. I appreciate it. I accept it. If something unfavorable happens in my life, I acknowledge it. I appreciate it. I accept it. Same thing. So emotionally, whereas before it'd be something favorable happened, woo! Something unfavorable happened, down. And you're doing this, what I call the yo-yo thing. Boop, 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 boop. You do that, you'll be stressed out of life. You might die early. Okay? Life, stay neutral, down the middle. Something favorable happens, something unfavorable happens, same thing, same thing. None of this oscillation anymore. None of this up and down, because remember, I often say to people, if you make a decision to do something and you do it and it turned out well for you, you learn something. If you make a decision to do something and it doesn't turn out well for you, guess what? You learn something. So in both scenarios, you're learning, which means you're growing. So, hey, acknowledge, appreciate, accept.
Thank you. It really, really helps.
Embrace the unknown.
Yeah. So if anybody needs that, to acknowledge, accept, and appreciate.
So acknowledge first, appreciate, and then accept. Acknowledge, appreciate, and accept. Whatever happens, favorable or unfavorable, Nothing is good, nothing is bad. There are consequences for action, that's a separate thing, but nothing is good, nothing is bad on the planet. There are consequences for doing good and for doing bad, as people will say it, but it's not such thing as bad or good. It is just that, you know, in life, we have been conditioned to believe that this is bad, this is good, this is mine, this is yours, this is theirs, this is ours. All of these things, I call them, they're dividing society. We need what we call inclusivity, okay? Inclusivity means that you are me, I am you. Yes, you have your biological father, but actually, I see you as my son. I see your whole family as my daughters and my son and my children. I have children too, which you know, but I see you all the same. The way I see my kid is the way I see you. As much as I love my boys, as much as I love you. There's no difference because it's called inclusivity, you know? As much as I love my wife, I love the next woman. The same love I have for my wife, I have for your mother, you know? It's different, that she's my wife and she's not, but it's the same thing. Society has created this thing faced about mine, and this is ours, and this is yours, and this is not yours, and this is mine, and this is my child, this is my wife, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend. All of these are called division. Division. We're constantly dividing ourselves. This is my religion. This is my country. This is my culture. This is my world. No, there's one world, and there's one race. It's called the human race. There's people. We are all people. We're one. So when I look at life and I see everyone as me, right? Where is judgment? You don't have to then teach me morality. You don't have to then teach me, don't steal from Pablo. Don't hurt Pablo. Don't injure Pablo. Don't do bad to Pablo. Why? You are my son. If I treat you as my son, as my own son, why will I ever hurt you? Why will I ever injure you? Because you're like my son. I can love you, period. You know, somebody was saying to me, oh, I love when I give compliments to strangers on the street. Well, they're not strangers. They're you. They're you. No matter what color, what shade, whether they're green chili, green pepper, yellow pepper, it doesn't matter. They're one human race. They're people like you and me. We're all connected. So I always say inclusivity. If we all adopt that belief and that mindset that we are all one, and we're all in the same thing together and working together and supporting each other and spreading acts of kindness around the world, then all of a sudden, no one has to teach us, don't steal from him, don't kill him, don't hurt him, don't hurt her. No one has to teach you morality, no one. It just becomes a natural way of being. And that's where we need to get to. We have too much division in the world, too much negativity in the world. We need more people like yourself, more positivity, spreading more love, spreading more joy, spreading more acts of kindness, because we need to change people's mindset. And that's where it starts from. Charity begins at home. And when you start from the home, you start with you. Because when you make yourself better, guess what? You make the world better. It's as simple as that. And for me, I always say, I am oneness, connected to everything and everyone on the planet. I don't see that separate from me. We're one. And because I see it that way, I never have to judge anyone. Because if I judge you, I'm only judging myself. I never have to go and injure anyone. Yes, come on, don't get me wrong. We have quarrels, we have ups and downs, we have all that within it, but it doesn't make you any different to me. Brothers and sisters quarrel, brothers and sisters fight, we all argue, we all fight, but it doesn't make us different. It doesn't mean that you're separate from me. I can argue with you, I can disagree with you, but it doesn't mean I don't love you. That's where we're going about it. So it's about that. And if everybody can capture that, we can stop this cultural barrier issues, national issues, wars, and all this craziness that we're all going about, because it really is simple. There's only one planet. It's called planet Earth. And there's only one race. It's called the human race. And by the way, when you look at the whole universe, the Earth is such a tiny little speck in comparison to all the other universes. So I don't know what we're making noise about. You know, in your household, you might be important, Pablo, but guess what? In the whole of your community, you're not that important. In the whole of the UK, who are you? In the whole of the world, who are you? Just a tiny little speck of sand. So I always say to people, you are the tiniest of the tiniest, and yet you're the biggest of the biggest. Because if you're a drop of the ocean, and I take a drop and I drop it into the ocean, once that drop hits the ocean, you become the ocean. So even though you're a droplet of water, The minute you touch the ocean, you become the whole ocean. Same thing, this earth. We are droplets. All of us are droplets in the ocean. Think about it that way. So, but when we all come together, we are the ocean. We're all droplets, but when we come together, we're all the ocean. So this thing about mine and yours and me and that just keeps, you're building a fence around you. You're building a dam around you. You can't be you on your own. I mean, I used to say a prayer every morning when in my gratitude. I used to say, thank you, Origin, and Origin is the source of creation. Thank you, Origin, for all that you've provided for me and my family. But I realized, hold on a minute. Without the rest of the world, there's no me and there's no family. So it's actually, thank you, Origin, the source of creation, for all that you have provided for me, my family, and the rest of the world. Because think about it. How does the food you eat get on the table that you eat it from? You say you go to the shop and buy it, but actually, the farmers that grew it, the workers that worked on the soil to plow it, to harvest it, the people that packaged it up, the people that then got into the shop seller that put them on the shelves, and then you go there, you buy it on the shelf, and you eat it, you cook it. There are many people that have provided that food on the table for you. So sometimes you don't have gratitude for that, not by yourself. So everyone is a jigsaw puzzle. We all have a role to play in this whole universe, because without everybody else, if you were on your own, nothing else would exist, would it? So it's not just me and you, it's all of us. So we are oneness. We are one. And together, we're everything. And without everything, we're nothing. So I always remember that. And if many more people can think that way and in line like that, then I believe there will be no knife crime. There'll be none of this drug here and there and all this kind of stuff. That will just disappear, because people will recognize the life that they are, first and foremost, and then recognize the life that other people are. That's what Namaste is. Namaste says, the light in me honors the light in you. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what your life is like. The light in me honors the light in you. That's it. The one.
Thank you for sharing. So next question is, would you agree that children my age should spend more time outdoors? If so, why?
Oh, oh wow! What a loaded question. The answer to your question is yes, 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 yes. Whew. Don't get me started on this one, because I could go on a rant. I think parents should wake up and smell the coffee. You know, I understand the problem. I'm a parent of 3 children, so I understand it. You know, I know that, you know, on the one hand, parents are busy, and in society nowadays, some parents they have to go out to work, and the kids, childminders, running around, coming home, and they're busy. They go work, some of them bring their work home, or some of them run their own businesses. It's tough. So sometimes they want to escape life, so they just say, here, iPad, phone, there you go. I mean, I'm going on a flight in the UK, and I'm seeing parents, they don't have computer with their kids. They're like, plugged in, headset, kids on like, playing with the headset. And I do what I'm thinking, have a conversation with them. Now, I'm not trying to profess that I'm righteous or anything. Listen, I made the same mistakes, you know? I made the same mistakes. And I know that, you know, we have to change that. As parents, we have to change. You know, we can't just dump our kids with videos. And by the way, this is how cool this is. Everything a child sees, hears, listens to, you know, feels, they're taking in impressions all the time. And all of those impressions are building up their conditioning. So we've got to ask ourselves a serious question as parents. How are we programming our children? What are we programming them with? So we've got to vet what they watch. If it's not something that's a learning thing and an educational thing, they've got to stop watching it. You know, they've got to stop watching it. It's got to be educational. It's got to be something that enlightens them, increase their brain capacity, if you like, you know, builds their intelligence up. If it's not doing that, they've got to stop it. So I stop. I buy games for the boys only if it's going to be an educational game. Something that they could work with, play with, that will stimulate their brain and educate them. And boy, oh boy, do I love outdoors. My boys are physically, they're like me anyway. We like outdoors. So they love football. One of them plays tennis. They love swimming. They go out. So we do a lot of physical stuff together anyway, which I love. And as parents, you've got to keep the balance. Now, some people are saying no TV. I wouldn't say no TV, but I will restrict what they watch and when they watch it. How much of it do they watch? Okay?
Yeah.
So at least they know that there's a time to enjoy their favorite movie or whatever, and there's a time to be outdoors doing what they love doing, enjoy what they're doing. And, you know, there are moments where as a family, we either go out riding bikes or we go out walking the forest and just looking at different animals and things and whatever, visiting the zoo, you know, moments that you go out. Educational trips, educational adventures, where they go out there and they can explore. Holidays should be fun. Go on holidays to different countries, but then get them doing outdoor activities. People go on holiday and the kids end up sitting like this. We're in Egypt and kids are playing on the computer all day long, 24/7. And they come back the next morning in the pool doing the same thing. You know, you can't do that. So for me, is in life, there's one rule, everything in moderation. But it becomes a way of blocking your kids out so that they won't disturb you. That's not right. Change it. I'm guilty of it. I've done it in the past. Change it. Shouldn't do that. And it becomes a way of where the kids don't socialize anymore. A lot of kids now are shy. They don't get out about it. They don't socialize anymore because they're stuck in front of the computer screen and they're doing it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some kids that are geniuses, that are insular, and they love their alone time. They love to fix things. They love to work on things. They love to work on computers, and they like that. So that's great. If that's your kid, please support them in that, encourage them in that, get them doing what they love doing and enjoy doing. But I'm saying, what about the rest of all the other kids that by default, we just lump them with iPads and phones and computers? Now, my wife and I, we've made a rule. No TV in the house. No TV in the house. Zero. It's hard, but at least I've got my phone, I've got my laptop, so I can look at my favorite football game, Arsenal online. I can watch the games online, I can do that. But apart from that, I've got Now TV, that I can watch some programs, but no TV in the house. And I think it's a great rule. And even when we used to have TV in the living room, we have no TV in the bedroom. I said people, they have TV in every room. All the kids have TVs. They have Game Boys and X-Boys and blah, 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 everything in their rooms. And they can be locked away in their rooms for hours. It's not the way. If you condition them that way, then yes, it might be easy for you in the long run, but you've got to ask yourself, how are you conditioning them, you know, long term? And then how do you think they will condition their kids? So this is a cycle. So at some point, we've got to start breaking that chain and breaking that cycle. That's why I love you and I love your show and I love your book. You know, Adventurous, 10 ways to get your kids out of the computer into the wild, you know? So get out in the wild. So this is a great show as well for that, because we're breaking barriers here. Slowly, we're breaking barriers. So we don't, you know, me and my wife, we've said, you know, any more children, any more kids, different learning, because we've learned with the boys what didn't work. So we now know we're going to do things very, very differently for the next children coming along. So no TV in the house, nothing like that. We'd rather go out and walk with the dogs, 2-hour walks, 3-hour walks, explore gardens, get them out playing, get them out doing activities, get them socializing with other kids, you know, get them doing all that stuff early so that when they get to school, it's not a shock for them, you know, and they can adapt into it. So really, I mean, what you're doing is phenomenal. It's not just for kids. I think adults should take a leaf out of your book as well. Some adults need adventures as well, because some adults also are addicted to and computers as well. So we need to get out there and just breathe a little. Listen, we are nature. As human beings, we are nature itself, and we need to connect with nature every now and again, which is why I love golf. Golf is my nature. I get out there and I just, beautiful nature, 18 holes, you're walking 6 miles, 10K, 6-mile walk, 18 holes, beautiful, breathing, air, nature, and then doing some physical activities, hitting some balls. It's beautiful. And if the weather is great, you can't beat it. It's phenomenal. Even when the weather is not great, it's still fabulous, you know? Yeah, so out in nature, 100%. Get out there in nature. Me and my wife, we make it a habit of just taking a walk with the dog, going out in nature. It's actually one of our best moments when we're out in nature. We call it our therapy time. So we get to talk about each other's desires, upsets, what we like, what we don't like, and we get to resolve it on the walk. It's a beautiful walk. We love it. So it's great. So parents, get out there and get your kids out there as well. Very important.
Thank you for sharing. So is it okay if you let people, whoever's watching this, how they can connect with you via social media?
Hey, I'm all over social media, baby. They can get me on. Our company is Empowerment, M for Mother, Powerment, Empowerment. We took out the E, so MPOWERMENT.co.uk. Check us out. We've got a Facebook page there. And obviously, Tosin Ogunnusi, you got my Facebook page there as well. You can check us out, check out our website. This is my book, Time to Break Free. It's on Amazon, bestseller, beautiful book out there. And also that one as well, Empower Yourself with the Seven Natural Law, which is the book that inspired Paolo to write his book, which is phenomenal. And guess what? Full circle, where I'm being interviewed by you now. So it's been a real honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And so is it okay if you share a departing message with the audience?
Wow. Passing message. Beautiful. Very simple. For all of you adventurers out there, I want you to understand that life is an echo. So the question is, what kind of echo are you putting out there? Because remember, you get what you give, you sow what you reap. So put the right messages out there, put the right echoes out there, and I promise you, the right echoes will come back at you.
Love that. Thank you for allowing me to interview you, fellow adventurer. So this is Tosin Ogunnusi. He's an author, public speaker, and so much more. Thank you so much for letting me interview you.
It's been a pleasure, son. Thank you. Take care and keep getting out there and exploring life. Mwah.